State health officials are pushing back against claims made this week by the White House linking Tylenol use during pregnancy to autism. The officials say the medication, when used as directed by a doctor, remains safe and warn that misinformation could put pregnant people and their babies at risk. But they're also reinforcing the safety of COVID and hepatitis B vaccines during pregnancy and early infancy, following the lead of major pediatric and obstetric groups. The public health statements come after a meeting of top New Jersey clinicians who say they're aiming to cut through, quote, confusion and uncertainty stoked by recent federal guidance, where the Trump administration promoted unproven theories not just about Tylenol, but also vaccines and autism. Our senior correspondent, Brenda Flanagan, joins us now with the latest. Brenda, a lot to dig into here. What can you tell us?
Well, Brianna, the reaction to Monday's highly anticipated news conference was immediate, intense, and emotional, especially here in New Jersey, where autism rates run higher than the national average. President Trump promoted unproven connections between Tylenol, vaccines, and autism, but offered no new scientific research to back that up. Regardless, Trump announced the FDA will alert physicians to minimize the use of acetaminophen during pregnancy for routine low-grade fevers.
There are other parts of the world where they don't have Tylenol, where they don't have autism. That tells you a lot, and I want to say it right now. And you know, the way I look at it, don't take it. Don't take it. There's no downside in not taking it.
And I'm thinking, oh my God, if I'm a new mom, I'm never taking Tylenol. I'm never doing this. I'm going to space out my shots. I'm going to, you're right. He's like telling you all these different things that is probably scaring a lot of people.
Now, that's New Jersey journalist Stacy Sherman, who has two children in their 20s with autism and says she never took Tylenol. In fact, the drug's manufacturer, Kenvue, which is based in New Jersey, stated, "We believe independent, sound science clearly shows that taking acetaminophen does not cause autism." The FDA notice calls it an ongoing area of scientific debate, while an association between acetaminophen and autism has been described in many studies. A causal relationship has not been established. Autism experts say more definitive research is needed. New Jersey's got a high percentage of people with profound autism, 64,000 people, and the president's announcement dropped hard in that community, according to Mitchell Baum, who's with the Council on Severe Autism.
I see online and I see in our members, you have parents who are going, oh my gosh, I took Tylenol when I was pregnant and I caused this. And then you have somebody else who posts and said, I have 5 kids. I took Tylenol with all of them. One of them has autism. What are they talking about? And, you know, I'm part of the severe autism community, and we're a stressed community. This is not easy. And when you have information that comes out that isn't clear, that there's not a consensus behind yet, it just causes stress, and it causes stress among, you know, pregnant women, because who do you listen to?
But the administration went further. The FDA requested GlaxoSmithKline to relabel one of its older drugs called leucovorin as an autism medication to improve brain functions affecting speech. But leucovorin was originally marketed to reduce chemotherapy side effects. And while small-scale studies found it led to some improvements, the drug hasn't undergone clinical trials for autism treatment. That's one reason Autism New Jersey Suzanne Buchanan calls the science on leucovorin premature and thinks it needs more research.
We're always concerned about individuals with autism, especially those who have difficulty talking and communicating any potential side effects like headaches or stomach aches, or I feel funny and I can't tell you how. I think, unfortunately, there's a long history of fad treatments that are marketed to the autism community before the science suggests that it's safe and effective. And so, unfortunately, we have a long history of supporting families through these decisions.
It's too big a disorder to blame on one thing. And I think it's irresponsible, because now maybe some people think, okay, all I have to do is not take Tylenol and my children won't have autism. Or all I have to do now is take this medicine that they talked about, and my child's autism will go away or will get better. And I don't see that happening.
But hope springs eternal. Sherman says she's seen a Facebook page where thousands have signed up to promote using leucovorin in hopes the drug might improve communication for folks with autism. And advocate Cassidy Grom notes many families felt elated just for autism to be in the national spotlight.
But we do need to recognize there's a whole nother sort of subset or group of families with autism that are taking care of children and adults with profound autism. Now, these are individuals who, they can't feed themselves a lot of times. Sometimes they have a hard time communicating, or they have to communicate through an iPad or a tablet. And these are families that are realizing they're going to take care of their children for 24/7 around the clock for the child's whole life. And for those families, in some ways, it felt like the federal government was finally hearing them, and that they were finally getting the attention they needed. And a lot of those families are very excited about the potential for finding the cause of autism or finding better treatment.
For Trump and Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the moment marked a political triumph celebrated by the so-called Make America Healthy Again, or MAHA movement. MAHA Action leader Tony Lyons declared, "We have what we haven't had for decades, an administration that's open to real science, to dozens of possibilities. It's a profound culture shift from a culture of corruption to a team that will turn over every last stone and give the public real science, real answers." But some advocates said even as research continues, politics should never be the filter for truth.
Autism is complicated. There's going to be a lot of causes and a lot of treatments and a lot of different reasons for it. And I haven't seen anything that even begins to suggest that acetaminophen is the smoking gun that's responsible. It's really important that it gets fair, appropriate attention with due diligence, with science. But when it becomes political football, it just takes a stressed out community and makes us more stressed.
Now, the politics can get very divisive. One advocate canceled an interview with us because they feared backlash on social media. New Jersey's home to 242,000 individuals with autism, advocates say. Brianna?
Bren, I talked to Dr. Walter Zaharani this week, who's advised RFK Jr., and he's the head of New Jersey's autism studies. And he said, look, we've had a 300% increase in New Jersey since I started doing this work a couple of decades ago. We're open to any and all research. What is New Jersey's situation? Because you said some of those numbers, but put that in context for us.
So look at it this way. 1 out of 31 kids nationwide has been diagnosed with autism. In Jersey, it's 1 out of 29. That's 3.5% of 8-year-old children. And this is, it's a lot of kids. They range from being able to function to, as we pointed out, children who are dramatically impacted and are going to need around-the-clock care for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, and we've heard from a lot of parents of children with profound autism who say, we need the help, we need a spotlight on this, as some of the advocates said to you, because their lives are truly devoted to taking care of their kids 24/7.
Especially when they've grown up. They need group homes for disabled individuals with supervision. They need activities, they need job training. Stacy Sherman's daughter is getting to move into a new group home next week, and she is thrilled.
Brenda Flanagan for us. Bren, thanks as always.
Thank you.